it is so absolutely vital that you carve time out of your busyness to stop and to be with yourself and to let yourself be in alignment with that part of yourself that is guiding you to your highest and most profound expression of yourself. You are listening to Turn Your Soul On Radio. I am your host and visionary doctor, Dr. Brandy Victory, and my mission is to assist high-achieving women in closing the gap between feeling unfulfilled to living a life on fire. It is time, ladies, to champion our own lives and turn ourselves on. This is Living Victoriously, ladies. This is how you turn your soul on. Hello, soul sisters. You are listening to the ultimate biohack for women. I know I haven't changed my intro yet. It's coming. I promise it's coming. I haven't changed my art, and it's coming. I promise it's coming. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how to find our center and how to notice where flow is happening in our life. And I'm really kind of on this path right now because I want things to be done already, and I'm finding that they're not done already, and it's frustrating the heck out of me. So, I just thought I'd bring this to the mic and share with you a little bit of my experience here while I'm in the middle of it. So, I just want to say thank you for your patience and your wherewithal to hang in there with me while I'm moving into this new space in my life. Thank you. Really appreciate it. It's nice to know I have the support out there and that, that you're there waiting and cheering me on, because I feel you. I do. I totally feel you. So the other day I was treating one of my patients, and there's this thing that's kind of been a pattern. That the beauty in working with someone over a long period of time is that I get to see how they pattern themselves in their lives and which patterns may not be supporting them, so that I can help them bust through that stuff. And so the pattern that was showing up for this lady was it's this pattern of go do, and then nothing for a while. She particularly likes to put herself into a very stressful situation where she doesn't do her stuff for a while, and then she comes down to the deadline, and then she's working till 3:00 in the morning to get it done because she's like up against the deadline. But that for her is motivational, so it gets her in the mood and it gets her going so that she actually produces. And then on the flip side of that, there might be, a days or a week or something of just binge watching Netflix and drinking wine and not doing, right? And so it's kind of somewhat of a bipolar situation, but it works for her because this is how she gets things done, right? And she's coming to me going, okay, you know what? I'm kind of tired of this thing that I've been doing, and I'd really like to move into my center point a little bit more. And I was like, okay, cool, let's work on that, right? And so as we're moving through, I'm energetic. I'm looking at her energetics and just going, okay, what's there? What needs to be released? What do we need to move out? And the picture I got was her all-in self working till 3:00 in the morning, and then like kind of on the left, and then on the right, I got her apathetic, binge-watching Netflix, drinking wine without abandon. Those two things, it was kind of on the right. Like they were both in my field. Like I could see both experiences. And when I looked at them, they were kind of far apart from each other. And so I asked, is this gap what we need to clear? And I kept getting no, which is very unusual because usually it's the gap between where we are to where we want to be. It's that gap that we want to close. And when we clear out there being a gap, then that closes it up. However, I kept getting no. I kept hearing no, it's not gap. It's not the gap. It's not the gap. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was almost at a loss. I was like, where am I going to go with this? And then finally I heard space. It's the space. It's the space between where you are and where you want to be that can be closed. It's the space. And it's just such a fascinating thing to think about semantics. But every single thing, and I know I've talked about this on past podcasts, but every single thing that we say, like every word matters. Every word matters. So if you just like kind of tune into your own vibrational space and you think about a gap between where you are and where you want to be, and the gap that is between that, and feel the energetics of that, and then you think about where you are and where you want to be in the space between that, and feel the energetics of that one, you can actually feel, if you just tune in, you'll be able to feel that if we see things from the perspective of a gap versus the perspective of space, there's a different energetic vibration in those two things. And so just simply by changing the semantics to bringing her awareness, her consciousness to the space between those two things, it allowed us to close that up for her. It allowed us to move her more into a place of centeredness, because that's where she wants to be. She doesn't want to be all the way working till 3 o'clock in the morning under pressure, nor does she want to be sitting on the couch for a week binge watching Netflix and drinking wine, right? She doesn't want to be, not that either one of those are bad, but she wants to be more in balance, more in the center point, so that she's more in control of her own life rather than being at the whim of the insanity of mania, basically. And so I'm sharing that with you because there may be a space for you to begin to perceiving things in your life a little bit differently. So is there a place that you would like to be that you haven't quite reached? And have you been feeling the pressure of the gap? And if so, is there a way for you to shift the semantics of that just a little bit to say, okay, it's space. It's space between where I am to where I want to be. And I'll give my own experience right now. So, I'm going through this transition. I'm changing the name of the podcast. I'm trying to get my artwork up. I'm trying to get music, which has been hellacious for me. And I feel like I just started working with this new coach, and I'm kind of moving off in a lateral direction, which is so vital and important and exciting. And it's not just focusing in on this. There's just a lot of moving parts in my life. And with all the moving parts, it's hard to find traction just in one area. And I know it's all coming together at the divine right time. Like, I absolutely know that. But then I feel like my ego self says, oh my gosh, this gap is so huge. Like, when am I ever going to be there? When am I ever going to get all this done? All these people are waiting on me. I've been talking about it and nothing's getting done. And I like one of my core values is honoring my word. So when I say I'm going to do something, like, it's my utmost, absolute 100% intention to make it happen. And so I want to make sure that I'm honoring my word with you, because you're following along here, listening, watching this transition, and I'm like, come on, let's do this. But that's my ego, right? So our ego comes into play so much that it's just like kind of the basher, and it's just like whipping us into whatever it is we think we're supposed to be doing, rather than allowing the space. So for me, I learned so much from every person that I work with, but I was like, oh, how can I apply that to my life, right? Oh, it's space. So yeah, this transition is happening. Yes, there's a vision, a place where I'm headed, and all these little moving parts have to come into play for it to unfold in the most divine way. And we can't force that. Although we can consciously begin bringing our awareness to the space between where we are and where we want to be, and begin to take action, whether it's just bringing it to the forefront of our consciousness that we're closing that gap, or writing out our to-do list in a way that allows us to take action to close that space, right? Just close that space. Yeah, so it's like, okay, where can we like relax into the flow and still be accountable to where we're going, right? And it kind of all plays into that place of centeredness. When we are in the center and don't let ourselves get swayed out of the craze, out of the center and going into mania or going into apathy or going into I can't or story, then we can just allow. And then that space doesn't feel nearly as large as a gap might feel, right? Yeah. And, I'm just kind of pulling together, like I live my life. I like have so many extraordinary, amazing experiences every day of my life. And I love to take all these experiences and like pull them together and like, oh, what did I receive from that? And how did I grow from that? And what can I learn from that person's experience? And, all these things. And it's just a fun way for me to explore my own depth and person who I am in the world, right? And to evolve. And so I'm just kind of sharing some of these things that have been just going on for me in the past few weeks or whatever. So that the other thing that kind of comes up for me in alignment with what we are just discussing is the actuality that we don't have to rush. So yeah, I want to get there as fast as I can, and there is no rush. I really pressure myself personally a lot. Like I'm on a deadline. I got to get this done. I'm working till midnight, whatever it takes, right? And I have burned myself out. I'm currently recovering from adrenal fatigue right now. So that's really not like the healthiest way for me to be in the world. And it's not healthy for anyone to be in the world. And the other day I went to this dance class. I go to sensual dance. I've talked about it before, but I'm getting more and more and more and more into it. And taking all my friends. You should go too. It's the most amazing thing ever. I'm telling you, it's like church and therapy all at the same time. It really helps me learn like who I am on a very deep, soulful level. And it is, and I want this for every woman. I want this for every woman. And so you have an invitation to come with me to dance. So this class is in Boulder. If you don't even live here, like take a trip to Boulder and come with me to this dance class and let me know, because I'll be there with you. And this is what I did on Saturday is I went and I had 4 of my friends who are brand new to this dance, be in this class with me. And it was so amazing. There was only like 6 of us, so it's a small, intimate experience. And the first class you go to is like a foundations class. It's a beginner's class because you know what you're doing, right? Like it's kind of systematized. And so there's this process we go through where we go through a warm up, and it's really like quiet and internal, and you're laying down and on a yoga mat, and you're just like connecting with your breath and connecting with your body, and like you're letting yourself land into the space like with really such safety and love. And then from there, we work on this particular little dance routine. Now there's a dance routine because this is for new people, and in the upper level classes you don't have a routine. This is just kind of holds a container for someone who doesn't even know what they would do if they were going to dance, right? Because a lot of people don't. And it's kind of weird to move your body, and if you're not like into moving your body, and you're more like engineer type brain, and one of my friends, love her, she's more an engineer, and so she's exploring this aspect of herself, and it's just the most beautiful thing in the whole wide world. And I could see the importance of having the container, the foundation of the routine. Like it held a container for her, and it held a container for everyone, even myself. I was like, okay, I'm just going to go with this routine beast and see what happens. Right. And so what I got from that is that, even though the upper level classes that I would attend, I would be doing something completely different. That's so revolutionary and awakening and beautiful and amazing and enlightening, and I love it so much. I didn't get to do any of that in this class. And so, part of my witnessing was, oh, wow, there's no rush. Like, I don't have to be there, and they don't have to be there today, right? They can evolve into that space. And that when we have things that we do on a regular basis, if it's not dance for you, it may be something else. Maybe it's a yoga practice, or maybe you don't have any practice. But what I'm sharing this with you for is because that, yes, there is no rush to get to where you want to go. So we've got this space from where we are to where we want to be, and there is no rush to get there. And if we take divine guided action by meditating on what we desire, closing the gap. I'll share this little meditation where we can close the space. I still have that word in my head, where we close the space between where we are and where we want to be. Like, that's an action when we do this in little meditation I'm going to share with you. Or if we have a routine that we do to get us into the habit. So, it just makes it's so essential. It's essential to our well-being so that we can continue to take those steps, and we're not jaded by our ego's desire to be somewhere else, because we're actively taking the steps and the action necessary to get us to where we want to be. All right. It's interesting because when we put ourselves in these positions, like in this dance class, this one particular girl, she's not new, but she's never done the routine, because they teach the beginner classes differently sometimes. So, but she had never done the routine, but I could feel for her. She was like, not really, I don't know. It was kind of like, how do you say it? It was kind of like, she hasn't ever done the routine, but it's no big deal because she's kind of already got it down kind of feeling, And then I felt so awesome. I was just like so excited for her that she'd never done the routine, even though she's not a beginner, and she gets to do the routine, because it's so, so, so powerful to have the foundation, to have the container, to have something you don't have to even like have any consciousness around. You're just following the steps. So maybe if there's something that you're looking to get to in your life, think about what foundational steps it might take for you to get there. And I always, as the ultimate biohack for women, I believe touching into our spiritual awareness, touching into our higher self, our higher consciousness, our God consciousness, spirit, the universe, whatever you want to call it, but touching into that part that's intangible, that you can't see, that you know that is there and is the most powerful part of who you are, like touching into that is the greatest foundation that you can give yourself. And consistency is key. So it's I give my patients lots of practices, and I often hear, well, I would do my breath work in the car when I'm driving, or I did my meditation in the shower, and I was doing my visualization, my affirmations in the shower. Yes, all of that is absolutely fantastic and great. And it is so absolutely vital that you carve time out of your busyness to stop and to be with yourself and to let yourself be in alignment with that part of yourself that is guiding you to your highest and most profound expression of yourself. It's vital. It's essential. And it's essential to do this every single day, at least once a day. I'm really like, I've really gotten back into my meditations, and one of the reasons why is because I have community around meditation now. For a while, I did, when I had community around my meditation and my yoga practice, I was an avid participant. And then when I had no community, I was not an avid participant. It would be just sometimes or whatever. And now I have community again around meditation. I actually do a very specific Buddhist chanting process with these group of people. And it's really, really, really freaking incredible. And I believe, like, I'm doing this twice a day now, most days, twice a day. And I can totally like feel this energized empowerment that is so it's like deep. It's deep, it's grounded, it's on purpose. It's like a staff that I've like boom, jabbed into the ground, that is just so solidly planted and pointing me in the direction that I'm going and giving me everything I need to get there. Like my doubt is completely gone. I'm like, I already know. I've already won this game. Like, it's on, and I know that my consistency in my practice. It doesn't matter if you do Buddhist chanting. It doesn't matter if you do Hindu chanting. It doesn't matter if you do yoga. It doesn't matter if you do meditation. It doesn't matter what it is. It's the consistency of connecting in. Consistency of connecting in, and allowing the vibration of your highest self to be a part of your experience. And so, yay, no rush, and build a foundation, right? All right, let's do this little meditation. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think you'll really enjoy it. Let me see where I want to go here. Just kind of winging all this with you right now. So, yeah, because there's 2 more things I'd like to share with you. So, including this meditation. So, and this meditation. So let's do this. So what you're going to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this process together, where we're going to close the space between where we are and where we want to be. So I want you to just close your eyes and take a deep breath. And let yourself just land into your body. I'm actually gonna blend 2 different practices into this experience, so you'll have something to play with for a little while. Oh my gosh, this is such a good one. And just keep connecting with your breath. And notice where the breath moves in your body. By the way, if you're driving, don't close your eyes, but you can still do this practice. And just become aware of all your parts. And notice where the energy is flowing in your body. Maybe you feel like a lot of movement behind your heart, or maybe have tingling in your hands or your feet. Maybe you feel relaxation in your face. Wherever it is, just notice, and notice the pleasure in witnessing that energy, wherever it is in your body. Knowing that this is an expression of your truth, of your highest, of your authentic you. And now take a minute to notice where that energy is not. Maybe you notice that it wasn't in your back body, or in your pelvis, or in your pelvic floor, or in your throat, or behind your eyes, or in your neck, or in your calves, wherever. Notice where it's not. And just bear witness, like there's no wrong way and no right way. You're just bearing witness to what happens when you bring your awareness to that. Notice how that energy expands into those spaces, and you can't help but be there because you are there. When you don't feel it and you don't recognize it, it's just because you cut yourself off. And so we're just turning you back on right here, right now. Every single cell, every single organ, every single space between every single cell, and even beyond your physical body. Like, yes. 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 Yeah, and now, while you're in this space, all filled up, all turned on, all juiced up, I want you to imagine a ball in your left hand. And in that ball, it's kind of like a snow globe. In that ball is your experience of where you are now. Maybe maybe if there's things you want to change, that would be in that snowball. Okay, obviously, because that's what we're trying to do. We're going to create change faster. And in your right hand, a little snowball, or a big snowball, however you want to do it, of where you want to be. And you may even notice a difference in the vibration of what's in your left hand versus what's in your right hand. Maybe the left hand feels heavier or warmer. Maybe the right hand feels lighter, softer, whatever. I don't know. And maybe it's different for everybody. Maybe you don't notice anything. That's okay too. It's just the practice. It's the intention of setting yourself up so that you're intentionally creating something new. Now, it is all on divine time, right? We can't control that part. But we can be an active participant in creating massive change in our lives right now by doing this kind of practice. So I want you to imagine bringing your hands closer and closer and closer together. Very slowly. No rush, right? No rush. Slow it down. Feel the movements. Feel the micro movements as you bring your hands closer and closer and closer together. Oh, but go so slowly. Even slower. Slow it down and just feel actually the magnetism between those two snow globes. The magnetism between your two hands. And feel how much they want to come together, but you're just allowing it to be oh so slow and oh so pleasurable and oh so yummy. And then bring your hands together, your palms together, and we're integrating those two snow globes. And we're just bringing the palms together in the mudra, of prayer mudra, if you will. And then bring it to your heart. So thumbs against the center of your heart. And take a deep breath and feel the vibration of this integration. Feel the vibration of the integration and let that expand throughout your whole entire being. Maybe it's actually the exact vibrational frequency of when we began that you can feel. But just notice it moving through your space. Notice it moving through your body. Notice it moving and filling up your entire field. Yes. 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 Oh, goodness. Well, thank you so much for sharing that experience with me. That was wonderful. And I think I'm going to leave you with that today. Just kind of let you be with that instead of anything else. Because this is so good, right? It's so good. You are making it happen, mama. And you're working with your divine consciousness so that it's graceful and joyful and wonderful and yummy and juicy and alive. Yes. This is what happens to me when I get all juiced up. So I hope you're enjoying the show. I am very excited to be releasing this to you, and I would love any feedback you have or if any questions. So, if you're questioning how to do that meditation or something didn't feel right or you're having trouble with it or you were feeling repulsed by it, any of those things, I am here for you. Please reach out, talk to me, let me know. I will help you walk through it. It's so simple to get yourself into that space. We just got to move the old garbage out that is getting in your way of you being able to realize the truth of who you are and your full empowerment as a gorgeous, brilliant being and woman on this planet who has so much to offer. So hats off to you, mamas. I can't wait to talk to you again. I've got some really cool interviews coming up I think you'll really love. I've got my esthetician who has beautiful skin. She's had skin cancer. She's been had her skin pulled off of her face from a car wreck, and you would never know. It's so amazing. So I'm so excited about that. I've also got actually a friend of mine. His name's Albert, and he's written a book. What is it? The Spiritual path to writing, or writing is a spiritual path to awakening. I think that's the name of it. And yeah, so I'm going to interview him, so you'll get to hear that, and it's just gorgeous, like his experience. So yeah, some goodies coming up for you, and until then, stay true to yourself, mamas. Love ya. Thank you for tuning in to another awesome episode of Turn Your Soul On Radio. If you're enjoying the show and it's making a difference in your life, I'd be super grateful if you'd head on over to iTunes and leave a heartfelt review, which tremendously helps the growth of the show. Feel free to leave any suggestions or questions in your review, or you can shoot us an email at admin@drbrandyvictory.com. I also would like to invite you to become a deeper part of the Turn Your Soul On Radio community, which you can do by joining our private Facebook group, Turn Your Soul On. I'll leave a link in the show notes for you. Thank you so much for being here today, and I'll talk to you next time. Have a fantastic day.
This podcast is for information purposes only. Dr. Brandy Victory is not a medical doctor, and the views and statements expressed on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Dr. Brandy Victory and the producers, disclaim responsibility from any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.